now essentially is really to take care of the education business here in Singapore, and also working closely with a lot of startups, especially in the edtech space as well. Been in the technology field, I would say roughly about like 16 years. Started off as a technical trainer, was teaching a lot of primary school kids on how to use different technologies as well. Really good fun. And like what Madhu has mentioned, technology is constantly evolving. So for us back then was always a 6 months to 1 year cycle. But right now, I think it's already cut short to probably a 3 months or even shorter timeline cycle. So it's a good challenge. For me, I love technology. I love to see how it's being applied to businesses. So that's why I've always been in this field trying to innovate and think about new ideas of how technology can be utilized. All right.
Wonderful. Thank you. Martin.
Good morning. Martin Janse van Rensburg. I'll pronounce it as I do from where I'm from, originally from South Africa. I've been in Singapore for 8 years now. I am the global leader for the academic alliances and our certification programs. When I sit on your side of the stage and I look back this way, what advice would I be able to give to somebody that's sitting in that side of the room? And I think for me, if you're thinking about a career, find the one thing that you're really passionate about, find thing and then get somebody to pay you to do it, right? If you find something you love, get somebody to pay you to do it because you won't work a day in your life, right? That's number one. Number two, you've got to find stuff that you're continuously learning inside your job. So you're evolving yourself, you can innovate and create. You have to look at things that challenge you in a good way, right? Not this is an impossible job to do, but look at the career and there's something challenging. It's something exciting that you wake up every morning and you think you're going to do something. The other thing is being able to measure the impact on what you do, right? So being able to say, I did this today and this is the impact that I had on people's lives or improved something or fixed a social challenge or global environmental challenge. And then the other one is playing to your strengths. If you're really, really good at doing Excel spreadsheets and working with numbers, but you hate it, that's not a strength, that's a weakness. So focus on the stuff that are strengths that you love doing. So every day when I'm the global education and training leader, I have to learn, I have to innovate. I can see the impact that I drive because I change people's lives, get them educated, get them trained. And in short, I absolutely love my job. That's why I'm very, very willing to give up my Saturdays anytime to come and speak to people about the future of education and training. So find that one thing you love doing and you'll be like me. I wake up on Monday mornings with a smile on my face, right? So.
Very nice. I'd like to see you on Monday morning, before your coffee. All right, Martin. Wonderful. My name is Andrew Ng. I'm kind of head of enterprise sales in SIM Academy. That's another division within SIM, and I'll be your moderator for today. All right. So again, some of us, if you've been reading the papers, right, we just kind of got out of COVID, got maybe a little bit of travel going on. And before you know it, the start of 2023, a lot of really not so good news, right, in the IT space. Right? Lots of layoffs, lots of restructuring, what's going on there. And I don't know what is your state of mind as you come into the room today, this morning, right? Is it a little bit of anxiety? Is it a little bit of anticipation? But what I'm really excited to kind of share as we kind of get into the first couple of questions for our panelists is that these gentlemen live in the industry, but they are excited about the current and the future prospects for all of you and for their businesses. They're really excited about that. So let them share from real practitioners about what their thoughts are about that. All right, cool. So let's get going, shall we? Gentlemen, thank you very much. Okay, how do you advise students with us today? Students, parents, prospects, what can they do to be work ready? What is the industry people like yourselves as hirers, as potential employers looking for in these young people joining your organizations? Maybe we'll kick off with Felix.
I think that's a very good question. And if you look at the current industry and the trends right now, of course, the big buzz, the first question that we saw up there about ChatGPT, generative AI and stuff like that. AI is becoming one of the key trends or key topics that a lot of different companies are talking about. And it's not just about how you use it, but how you potentially apply it to your businesses, to your daily lives and stuff like that as well. I think that is one of the focal area that I believe students should at least get an understanding of the basics. And if you have very strong interest on the technicalities, you can always deep dive. In tech companies, we usually label them level 100 all the way to 300 or maybe even 400. So if you just want to understand how things work, go for L100. If you want to go deep dive, go for L300. And there's a lot of different courseware that you can actually rely on. Aside from the AI components and capabilities, I think it's also understanding, what are some of the factors around it. I think when you start looking at technologies, it's also focusing on who are the users, what are your customers looking for, and stuff like that. Always have that empathy to listen in to see what the business is looking for, and then read up on news and articles in terms of what companies are doing as well. Then you can really catch up in terms of where are the focus areas you should look at, right? Like right now, it's all about a companion, about communicative AI and stuff like that. But there's going to be a lot more things like generating your emails, contextualizing your emails and sorts that potentially will help you be more proficient, be effective. So these are components that you can always go in there, jump in, use specific technologies, and then try to learn from there as well. So I think for now, look at where AI is going into, keep up with that trend, because I think a lot of companies, even if you go for an interview, they ask you the basics of AI, some simple questions, but at least the general technology itself. I think that'll be helpful for you guys.
Great. In some of the conversation we had with Felix, I want to you mentioned L100, L200, L300, the understanding what's going on technology-wise, but you kind of mentioned to me also about soft skills. So how does that kind of play? What is soft skills to you?
Correct. I think that's also a very important component. Although you have all these technological trends, the soft skills to me are things like, for example, your people skills, teamwork, leadership, project management, and stuff like that as well. If you do quick searches, you can actually see different researches and reports of what are some of the industrial demands in terms of like what are some of the soft skills, the hard skills, and tech skills as well. I still feel that those are important. And, for students here, you guys are going through the phase of learning. So you will actually start to build up those soft skills with school projects, with your friends, and as you go along your different education journey. And for parents who are here as well, I think you guys still have the opportunity to do that even back at home. And you can always apply that also, when you're working with your kids, or take up different courses that are available for free as well. Some of which can be found like in Google Skill Shop, Skills Boost. You can always go in there to actually read more about it as well. Yeah.
So the combination of those hard technical skills and knowledge of that combined with those soft skills of communication and interaction, collaboration, that's kind of crucial. Thank you so much, Felix. Martin.
So first of all, you're a generation that just kind of came through COVID. So you already had some pretty hard lessons and experiences on how you could actually use technology to keep going to school and things like that. I think one of the fundamental things that I think of that you need to be able to do when you're looking for a job and give yourself an edge over somebody else. I have never, ever met a person that has ever asked me, what did you score in that class and your degree, right? They don't ask you your score. They literally look at the piece of paper and go, yes, you got a degree, you got some sort of, you got that. What they're really trying to look at is how do people apply the knowledge that they gained out of doing things, right? And the biggest challenge that we have today, and you will face all of this, will face this, when you apply for your first job, people will say to you, well, I can't give you the job because you have no experience. And you'll go, this is a little bit of a stupid question, but if you don't give me a job, I won't get any experience, right? So there's this issue that happens constantly. And the way that you can keep yourself above the rest of the peers inside your class is understand how to use technology and be able to look at your job that you want to do in the future and then think of it as in cultivating interdisciplinary skills. And what I mean by that, if you're working in the finance industry and you look at how technology is being used in the finance industry to automate standard processes, for example, or migrate things to the cloud, or how those skills are being used on a day-to-day basis, find out how you can use technology and experiment, join clubs, go and work in the automation club or the IT club within the university here, go to startup events, understand how technology is being used to do things. And by having those things inside your CV that you can show to an employer that says, look, I did all this stuff at college or university, but what I've actually done is I can show you how I practically went and applied that. That is what I look for when I try and hire people that are graduates, number one. The other thing, and I cannot emphasize this as enough, get industry certifications. If you have an industry certification, the opportunity for you to be hired by a company is much higher. And this is the most important part of everything that I just said, is your base salary will be higher than a standard person's as well that get the same job. So industry certifications show that you have relevance in technology on how it gets applied to the job that you're doing within a company. And that's what employers are looking for a lot today.
Great. Thank you, Martin. So guys, hard skills, soft skills, how to apply those skills that you can demonstrate and show that you've had some exposure in those areas, and how you kind of demonstrate that. One key way, industry certifications is a good indication that you guys know what you're talking about. All right, Madhu.
Right. So for AsiaPac, we are partners with leading technology providers such as Google UiPath, Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, and many more. So what we do is taking probably two areas, one in cloud, another one in automation. So for cloud, for example, what we do is, especially with Google, just last week, we had about 25 of our staff, including trainees, visit Google office headquarters in Mapletree, where Google basically created a customized training program for AsiaPac to teach us on the foundation of cloud, plus additional topics such as generative AI as well. And just last week, Google actually launched their new generative AI courses online, which publicly anyone can go and apply and learn the foundation of generative AI. But more importantly, what we do then is actually take this and train our staff and trainees into one is the foundation and into their certifications such as Google machine learning certification. All right. So equipping you with the industrial certification in the end, which is what you need. And then, of course, on-the-job training is what we do together with Google to utilize these use cases with our customers, especially working with some of our private healthcare companies to actually use Google AI ML in specific use cases for generative or predictive analysis. All right. For UiPath, we have been partners with UiPath for the past few years, where we go in to customers and automate their mundane, repetitive processes. So for this, we basically train our staff and trainees on how to use UiPath, and then get them certified on UiPath's advanced development certification. So again, on-the-job training certification is the key of what we do for our staff and trainees. So this is what we inculcate in terms of making sure you have on-the-job training and you have basically the certification give you that kickstart and in your IT profession, be it in our company or in your industry. So that's what we actually do quite heavily in terms of the certifications and where we see the importance of it as well. Yeah,
very much. So again, AsiaPac, I think with Madhu leading the Youth Academy and leading the business that he is putting everything that Felix said and Martin said into practice, right? Giving them that training, that knowledge, but also how to kind of get that experience. And by the way, if you didn't realize that, please come over to the AsiaPac booth because Madhu is hiring. All right, so he's putting through actually a work-study program under the Youth Academy that will do part-time study with the university here, but also be an employee of Asia Pacific Technology. So something really exciting. Ask a little bit more, Madhu, he'll be kind of ending. So some nice opportunities there. I'm going to move on to question number 2, guys. All right, so question number 2 is, with the rise, which is kind of, I'm seeing kind of maybe question 1 kind of floating up there already. Okay, with the rise of open source AI, right? Lots of changes happening, lots of risk kind of happening as well. There's a specific question about finance, but are there any specific certifications or degree programs that the industry is kind of looking at? What kind of certifications that can a student add to their degree, right? If it's not even relevant in that field to really remain competitive. So what would be kind of good things to look out for to add to that resume? We'll start off with Felix.
I think the very first one, like what AsiaPac is actually doing right now with the work-study program, I think that's a fantastic fit. Something that I didn't get, back last time when I was studying. Essentially, we don't have things like work-study program. But right now with this, I think it gives students opportunity to really get deep dive, hands-on experience to really understand tech, learn the tech, and really build on it as well. So it's a really good experience while still studying. The other thing is a lot of different certifications are available. I think you heard from all 3 of us, even talking about certifications and sorts. Google itself, we do offer a lot of courses, things like, for example, Google Career Certs. the new Gen AI courses that are available in Skills Boost that was released last week. And also a lot of different like professional certifications. So you can tier yourself by taking up some of these free courses. And then when you're ready, slowly you can move up and actually go for some of the more professional certifications to prepare yourself. I feel those are good credentials to have in your portfolio, especially when you start going out looking for a job or even going for a work-study program itself. You actually add or give you more credentiality to your portfolio. So there are available courses online, not just from Google, but there's also a lot of different open courses that you can actually take part in and learn from there as well. So I would suggest you guys to actually explore some of this also. Yeah.
Great, thanks. Martin.
So let me set some context here. You got to remember that AI is like a really, really big brain that can operate really, really quickly, right? So it has all the information that it can find on the internet and it puts it together, and you go to ChatGPT and you type some stuff into it and it comes back with a response because it has a whole bunch of knowledge inside it. There's a couple of things, a little bit to that question at the top there. There's a couple of things that humans can do really, really well that ChatGPT can't do. You can contextually innovate and take information into ChatGPT and bring it out from the AI perspective and get a perspective on it. And you can apply that knowledge that you gained out of it to solve a problem. That's not what ChatGPT can do at this moment. It doesn't have that innovation creativity component, number one. So it doesn't matter which job you are doing. You have to understand how AI is going to impact what you're doing. So if you look at that question around banking and finance, if you use artificial intelligence for somebody that's applying for a credit card to be able to use our technology as UiPath from an automation perspective, the application that the person fills in, you literally go and grab that information and AI will automatically be able to match what the person has filled in the form and cut and paste it into the system that actually goes and orders the credit card or the card or opens up the bank account. So the AI component sits in the middle and you use it as part of your job, that it still has to take the document, that still has to be verified by a human. So there's two types of skills that you will have inside how people use automation and AI. There are people that will be native AI people that create the AI application, build those type of things. And then there'll be people that are the consumers of the technology. So you can, in our world, in UiPath's world, you can be two things. You can be a developer that writes Python code and actually helps automate those processes and create the application that sits in the middle and make the automation use AI to do things. Or you can do what we call a citizen developer. That is having an automation mindset so that you can understand how you use technology to automate processes that you're doing within your business. And that's the thing about how AI is helping you in a job. You are the first generation that's really going to be able to take AI and build it into your job from day one. So it's an opportunity. It's really a big opportunity for you. We jokingly said this before this. I'm all for getting to the 4-day working week. And the only way we're going to get to the 4-day working week is by using technology to work a lot smarter and simplify and automate all those mundane processes that you cut and post, click and drag, and use automation and artificial intelligence to help you do that. So citizen developer type of programs that you can utilize, AI type of programs that you can utilize, and looking how that applies to the role of the job that you want to do. That's what you need to figure out.
I just want to kind of deep dive a little bit into what you just said, Martin, and for the rest of them. So there were two elements or two pathways that you kind of called out, right? Kind of the guys who want to go a little bit more on the technical side, and that's kind of maybe the professional path, is that the word? And the non-technical. Some of you maybe say, I'm from A level, so I'm from a non-technical background. Is this relevant for me? And I think that's what Martin says that is. So that's that citizen development. Go ahead and speak a little bit about that, about the non-technical pathway and that fear factor maybe, and whether or not you can kind of deep dive into that.
Yeah. So when it comes to technologies, you can either fight, flight, run away, or you can adopt it, right? So a lot of the people my age are fighting and pushing back against this technology because they see it as a threat for their job. The real important thing about some of this, things like a citizen developer role, is looking at new things that you want to do and how you will actually use automation and AI to do that job. And this is where the real opportunity is. And going back to that part of the conversation where what gives you the edge as an individual is actually adopting these technologies and being able to show to an employer, hey, look, I did this education in finance, in engineering, but this is how I can take this technology to apply it to automate things and using artificial intelligence. So I think the really important thing is look at how technology fits into the job that you want to do, right? And understand how that gets used. I mean, you got to remember that all technology can be used for good or bad. You know, Facebook can be used for really good things, and Facebook can be used for really bad things. And it's the same thing with this. You just have to understand how you apply that technology within what you do, right?
Great. Thanks, Martin. Madhu.
Yep. So I would say, so what I would add on to that is, this is why I believe the Youth Academy is the best place for students to actually learn where they fit in which area in IT, right? So together with SIM, basically we automate 20 positions in AsiaPac, where we now have about 14 SIM students working with us already. When you first come in, we will place you into a focus area, be it cloud, data, or automation, for example. Now, as you go on to a program, because you will learn that, oh, I like to actually adapt, I want to move into maybe cloud data, I want to move into maybe more on automation, I want to move into ML. This is where you actually can learn, and we provide you on-job training and the necessary certifications to gear you up so that when you go into the workforce, you're fully equipped with that. So, because what I feel is when you first come out as graduates, or even when you're undertaking your studies at the moment, you don't know what part of IT you want to be in. And this platform gives you that opportunity to learn while working full-time with AsiaPac, getting a paid salary, and getting the relevant certifications as well. So that is what we offer together with our partners basically in AsiaPac.
Wonderful. Quick check with all of you guys. How many of you with a raise of your hands, please? Okay. How many of you from the technical background? IT, ICT. Hands up. Technical background. Okay. How many of you from the non-technical background? You did comms, finance, arts, whatever it may be. Guys, anyone? Okay, good. So good. Hopefully some of those questions kind of met your needs. So we got a mix of those technical people, non-technical people, and how that would be made relevant. All right. So what I'm going to do right now, gents, if you don't mind, I'm going to switch about quickly to kind of the questions on the screen. All right. Or any questions you have, kind of a little bit interactive, guys. It's casual, it's fun. So feel free to kind of ask any questions you have. So job number one. AI replacing jobs in the banking finance sector. I think some of you kind of addressed it. Martin kind of jumped at it. Any one of you will kind of want to take that up?
I think automation in the banking and finance industry is probably one of the biggest growth areas that we see as a company right now. It's probably the biggest adoption, especially in insurance. Thinking once again, in my generation, I spend lots of hours every single year doing operational things. It's mundane, boring, right? Approving things, doing stuff. If you can use artificial intelligence and automation to take away those boring, repetitive processes that then actually allows an individual to be more creative and innovative, come up with new solutions, new features that you want to sell to customers, provide a better customer experience. That's where the true value of AI and automation comes in. And in banking and finance, we see a lot of these companies, insurance claims and things like that, automatically being able to process insurance claims so that the people inside the business can focus on other things that they have to do. So there's a really big adoption of the technology to do this. And I can tell you now, I have seen companies create more jobs, not lose more jobs. What's happening is you have banking institutions that create a citizen developer program. You go to academy.uipath.com, you sign up, you do the citizen developer program, you get a diploma on it, and companies are buying our software and saying, go and automate processes. What that actually means is those citizen developers all of a sudden say, this is really, really cool. I love doing this stuff. And most of these businesses are now building what they call a center of excellence. So the center of excellence for automation gets built as a new department within the company. And all of a sudden, these individuals that really love that change their roles inside the company and they become part of that center of excellence for automation and using AI and things like that. So we've seen companies create more jobs to take advantage of this, right? So this is how we're seeing individuals building their skills and making themselves relevant within companies, right?
Cool, thanks, Martin.
So probably on the first job, so a bit of what we're doing with companies at the moment. So together with UiPath for one of the banks in Singapore, we're helping them automate their bank operations, specifically customer onboarding, because for most banks, customer onboarding is one of their pain points in terms of response time, right? Because the key thing is you want to onboard the customer as soon as possible, but there's a lot of security checks and all that has to undergo within the bank. So we're using UiPath to actually automate that process, and also it also gives customer satisfaction that, oh, it's actually very quick and easy to actually, enroll in this bank. As well as UiPath, not just automating mundane processes, automation anyway. UiPath as well has the test suite, a component where now test manager basically can help you automate your test cycle. So because in software development releases, you have new releases that comes out, and UiPath basically has that capability to actually automate even the testing process of it. Instead of using humans, now you use machines to actually, robots to basically automate that process. So that's why we're working with UiPath on that. With Google, basically, we are working with, with Google, we have basically using the AI/ML technology. What happens in the bank is a few things there. Number one, fraud detection. Fraud detection is where you need AI component to actually help you detect at a split second, basically, is this transaction having a fraud? Because you can't rely on humans to actually look through millions of transactions. You need an AI component on that. Number two is, in terms of data, we look at churn prediction. So banks want to know is this customer in the bank going to leave the bank, right? Because now based on the trend of your transactions, of your savings and so on and so forth, in the next few months, will this customer leave the bank or will he stay? And if they're going to leave, then the bank will want to, offer more promotions in order to retain the customer. So these are some of the use cases where we use for both AI in the banking industry and for automation. Will it replace jobs? No, they need humans to actually help them automate this. But you need to actually have the skill set, be it in automation, be it in AML language, to help customers like this embed AI into their relevant use cases.
Nice, man.
That's where, yeah.
And I think if you hear the points from Madhu and Martin as well, what's very crucial is that, if you notice, it's technologies that will become a companion for you, right? You could be working in any sectors, be it whether it's education, finance, whichever sector. These are technologies that will be your alliance. The way it's being deployed, the way it's being controlled, the way it's being set up will still have to be going through you, because you will have that thought process in terms of what processes will have to run accordingly as well. So take it more like it's not going to replace your job, but use it as a companion tool, make you more effective, 20%, 30%, use that 20%, 30% to upgrade yourself to do something else. I think that's the crucial thing to take out from the conversation here. Yeah.
Great, Martin.
There was actually a thing on the BBC News this morning that was talking about the European Union putting standards around ChatGPT. And Mr. Goldman, who is the guy that actually founded ChatGPT, was actually in the Congress this week, actually being asked questions about ChatGPT and AI and what regulations have to be put across it. And one of the interviewees on the TV this morning was basically saying, you got to remember that AI is something that can make such a fundamental difference to the world. If you take a doctor or a surgeon that has to discover, is a tumor inside a patient benign or malicious, and you can have AI and automation look at the pictures and in minutes make the decision by looking at hundreds of thousands of images of tumors to say, yes, this is a benign tumor or it's a malicious tumor. This is where the importance of the technology comes in and being able to help what you do. And just to close off on this topic as well, why it's so important for you. When I started my career, I'll mention a few products here that none of you will probably have ever heard of. When I started my career, when I went for an interview, they would literally ask you in the interview and on the job description, do you know WordPerfect? Do you know Lotus Notes? Do you know, Lotus Notes 1, 2, 3? Do you know how Windows for Workgroups work, right? Like really basic questions. Now, today, it's self-evident that every single one of you that goes for a job understands how mail works, you understand how Excel works. It's just, they don't even ask you that question if it's a proficiency. It's become a foundational component of you getting a job. They just know that you know how this stuff works. What's happening in the future is if you do not have an AI or automation mindset on how you think about doing your job, and you are not interested and curious about finding out about clubs, certifications, things that you can do with the technology that we have and using programs that are in front of you, right? That is how you're not going to have an edge. That's not how you're going to make yourself relevant. So the closer you can get at understanding how those things actually are utilized inside your job, that will give you the edge. Because we are already seeing in the European Union that in the finance industry, there are questions inside a person's job description on LinkedIn that said, do you have any automation experience? Do you have an automation mindset? And this is just the reality. It's going to become a thing. And the quicker you guys can adopt to how that works, the quicker you'll give yourself an edge. And the quicker you will give Singapore an edge, because this is how this country is going to keep ahead of all the other places, because it'll have the most innovative and creative people because they've automated the most mundane processes through AI, right? That's where I see the true value proposition of it. This is.
Nice, love that. Okay, I am a non-technical person. Now, is there any concern that I'm going to have to start from scratch and kind of come behind all these smart people who've been in tech for a couple of years already? How am I going to do that? Would there be any concerns about doing that, guys? That's question number 2 that's kind of floating up there. I'm from a non-tech background. I'm going to start from zero. Can I warm everybody up with a story? My nephew studied in NTU linguistics. He was an English major. Now he's a coder. I'm like, what? Said, oh, uncle, I'm going to be doing coding. How do you get into coding? I mean, you're bloody English major, right? What's going on, right? Oh, I like coding. I did a coding program on my own. And then I got a job coding at a bank. And now he's at a SI doing a really great job going towards a master's degree in ICT. So it happens, it's happening, it can happen, but maybe I'll let the experts kind of speak to that as well. So non-tech, getting into tech, what's going on?
Probably sort of, we were just talking about this earlier. So we do have one SM graduate who in his past experience was a construction surveyor, non-tech, completely non-tech. We brought him on board. Right now, for his first 3 months, he's undergoing automation and learning UiPath, and he's doing very well. Again, coming up from non-tech, because UiPath, it's a low-code development platform. So it's easy for someone to really easily adopt, like what Martin said, discuss the citizen developers, programs, and so on and so forth. So we are starting up with that. After 3 months, we're moving him on to data, giving him the foundations of each different area, and then see where he wants to specialize in, and then we'll go deep in getting the professional certification or the next level advanced certification. So I would say we've proven, you can actually come from non-tech, go into an IT, go to an IT technical background. And, this is, again, I guess to self-promote the Youth Academy, this is the best place for you to actually go and undertake this opportunity where you will get that knowledge and on-the-job training together with certifications with our key partners, of course, on this panel. Yeah.
But hang on a second, Madhu. He was lucky to meet an organization like you who was willing to give him a chance. So what else can a non-tech person prepare themselves to be successful moving into that? Was he just lucky? Was he 1 in a million to kind of get that pathway with you? What can a non-tech person kind of get maybe more prepared?
If you don't join an organization, a lot of these programs, be it UiPath or even Google, all of their trainings are online, mostly free as well. So UiPath, you can download the community edition of UiPath, learn it by yourself. The UiPath Academy, you can fully go online. Google as well, a lot of the foundation courses are free. It is really your passion and your drive to take up these courses, learn about it. And when you're very keen, of course, then go for the professional certification or more advanced trainings. But all of these are available online for free. So you can actually go into it and undertake that as well.
Nice. I think something that in the notes with Felix and Martin, what you were kind of saying, we were talking about it, but it was more that desire to keep learning. That seemed to be something that happened in the conversation. I want to speak to that a little bit more, Felix.
Definitely. I think a very personal experience. So previously, I actually hired an intern who was a business student. So she had no tech background and what sorts, and her role was basically to help me to manage events, activities, and so on. But within her second month of the internship, essentially she started to be able to code programs. And back then there was all this voice user interface.
After 2 months,
After 2 months.
doing events,
Yes.
you started coding. All right.
So that the point that you raised earlier, to always constantly learn, have the perseverance to learn, I think that's what she really put in. So while the training was going on for events for the students, she actually sat in and tried it out herself. So along the way, while she's running the event, she's making the effort to sit down, learn from the trainers, build something, and then after that, try to find out from the more technical people, like, okay, so how do I get started? How can I do certain things? How do I expand that voice user interface and stuff like that? So that's where I start to see that change. And
Awesome.
from a non-tech becoming tech, and then now she's like doing a lot of wonderful stuff, getting a full-time job in the company, and also running more technical events and doing the training herself as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Martin.
So, Andrew, I think this is one of the things that you guys bring to the equation as well, that for your parents that are sitting in the room listening to this messaging going, how do I keep myself relevant in the job that I'm doing today? It's upskilling and reskilling yourself is just as important. So if you have an existing career or you want to change it, I think having an understanding of all the programs that actually exist in there that you can actually join and get the understanding of how you can reskill yourself. How do you, you can either build in or bolt on these skills. So if you're in the education industry today and you're learning like your kids and the students here, you build in automation and AI into your skill set. But if you're already in a career and you've been doing it for 15 or 20 years, what you can do is you bolt it on. You bolt it on as a new thing that you've learned. And back to what Felix has said as well, I always say to people, remember, education is not a destination, it's a journey. You continuously have to keep yourself relevant in the industry. I mean, ChatGPT came out in November last year, and it is in 6 months' time, the impact that it has to the world already. And I think Felix touched on this earlier as well, the cycle on how quickly these things are happening. It's not a 3-year cycle every time something like ChatGPT comes out that's going to disrupt or be an opportunity or a disruption, depending on how you look at it. This is going to keep happening, right? So the more you can actually learn how to upskill and reskill yourself consistently and keep yourself relevant with those industry trends that's happening on how you use it, if you're in finance, healthcare, education, insurance, logistics, all of these things add value to you as an individual. Right? And this is where a lot of the things that you guys do is helping people upskill and reskill themselves, right?
Cool. Thank you very much, guys. So I'm going to definitely, I've got a question up there that talked about UOL and UOW. We'll kind of come to that in a minute, but I want to kind of address that question was right at the bottom, because I think it kind of sinks in a little bit with you guys. There are so many specializations in IT. How do I know which one to kind of focus on and take? And maybe if I can kind of guide a panel discussion about this element of interdisciplinary training and exposure and skills that we kind of were talking about even before this session kind of started. So how do I choose? There's so many things out there. How do I prioritize? How do I choose? What's the value of interdisciplinary exposure and training and skills? Anybody? Go, Felix.
Just probably a little bit. Okay, if I'm thinking back how I actually started, essentially I was a student majoring in, I was a diploma student. So essentially all I was doing was more thinking about how to develop games and stuff like that. And then after which along the way became a digital media student, and then took up digital media jobs, training and stuff like that. So, and when I made those decisions in terms of what technologies I want to focus on, essentially I look at, what are some of the things that potentially, number one, my interest areas. Number two, are in trend with the industry or what people are looking for in the IT field. And number three, of course, that will potentially make sure that I have the passion to keep learning. I can be taking up, back then I still remember I was doing database, SQL and stuff, which is totally not my interest. So that's one of the reasons why I switched to game development. So having that three elements kind of guided me into where I am now. So, I taught kids how to use Adobe Photoshop and stuff like that. And then after that, went into Adobe to work as a pre-sales engineer to actually talk about the whole solution. So it became more a personal goal. like what I really want to, but my whole overall ultimate goal across the 16 years was, can I then take these technologies and apply it to an education context, right? So that was my ultimate goal, along the way, coming to where I am right now. And it's kind of helpful because it really gives me more context and more clearer path in terms of where I want to go to. So personally, I would feel this is my advice. Like really look at the industry, find something that you're of interest to. I know now everything is all about AI and stuff like that. You don't really have to go into that, but you can understand it and see how you can apply it and then use different technologies and go around there. Yeah.
So let me rephrase that, Felix. So the idea here is that, hey, rather than what are people looking for and therefore what can I add to my resume to make me look good, you put a little twist to that to say that rather than that, it's what can I learn? More importantly, what can I apply to where I am going? So it's more about the application and show the ability to apply that particular skill that you kind of picked up. Is that what you're saying, Felix? Awesome, great. Martin?
I'm trying to look for it. I did write it down in here somewhere. There's a famous quote that basically says, the biggest mistake companies make when they adopt new technology is to think of how they can use the technology on what they did yesterday. The most important thing a company can do when they adopt technology is to look at what technology can do for us in the new things that we want to do. So if you look at the relevance for you as an individual and you're interested in a specific industry, whatever that might be, do your research. I mean, you can Google anything, right? You can find out what the trends are. What is the new things that are happening? Go have a conversation with ChatGPT and say, I'm interested to do a job in here. What is the future trends in the next 3 to 5 years that's happening in this industry? How would AI affect this? How would automation affect this? How would I be relevant in this industry in the next 3 to 5 years? If I'm a student, what skills do you think I should develop? I mean, you can go and Google and find all of this information. The more you can do that as an individual to figure out what is the trends happening in your industry and the things that's changing, and then align your skill and built in that little bit of technology that actually helps you, the more relevant you will be. And the better salary you'll get paid, the more opportunity you'll get promoted. Join clubs, go to startup events. All of these type of things are really, really relevant. Find the places that is actually speaking about that industry. Make sure you're passionate about it. And that's one thing that you want to be able to do. And that's how you'll keep yourself relevant all the time. You can worry about all this technology stuff. And I think you touched on it. You can worry about all this stuff and freak out about it and whatever. But the reality is just figure out how you can actually practically apply it on what you are doing inside your job and the career that you want to do and what's happening in that industry, and you'll be fine. Yeah.
Wonderful. Madhu, as the one person on this panel who's actually looking to hire people in this couple of days, what are your thoughts? When you look at a resume, you look at an individual, what specializations should they be that you are looking for? What are you looking for and where would make sense for you?
For us, because for us, depending on the nature of our customer projects, we may need various different talents. It can be in what we do on our data center modernization, be it network, storage, server personnel. It could be in our cloud businesses where we need professional cloud certified profession, or it could be in our intelligent edge. So what I would advise is, which career path do you choose? Now, in your degree program with SIM, it will give you snippets of areas that you can actually focus on. So there will be a bit of development, there will be a bit of cloud computing, there will be a bit of each element of this. Now, look at which area you want to develop your skill sets. You could be interested in cloud, you could be interested in development. Yeah, that's something that you want to actually go more in advance into it. Or you could be interested in data, you could be interested in cloud, or you could be interested in cybersecurity. The latest trends and all that, like Martin said, you can always Google and see what is the latest trends the job market looking for. Where we see in AsiaPac is typically cloud, data, cybersecurity are right now the current focus of many companies that they're hiring, because there's not enough cloud engineers, there's not enough automation engineers, especially in Singapore, and also cybersecurity. So for us, we are constantly hiring cloud, automation, network, be it Cisco engineers and all that. We are constantly hiring this because we have more and more projects, be it in government and corporate, that's looking for that. So again, linking it back to the Youth Academy, that's where we actually then place the students into a specific focus area, give them the foundation, see what they're interested in, and then go deep into certifying them in that area. So that's what typically how we actually go and hire and what we actually do for our Youth Academy here.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Madhu. We're kind of getting close to the hour. I'm going to see 4 minutes left. I see lots of great questions. I want to make one comment, and I'm then going to kind of invite the rest of our kind of speakers to kind of add on their last words, as it were, in this topic. We do have a session definitely after this at tea break. You're going to get Madhu and his team at the AsiaPac booth down next door at the atrium as well. So take advantage of that. So I really like some of the comments that were being made about always learning, right? Always kind of seeking to learn, be creative, kind of getting out there, because you're right, not just of you guys who are still in the student stage and you're kind of developing your career or just starting up in your career. For some of us who maybe are parents in the room as well, who may be concerned about some of these things impacting you right now in your jobs, there's a lot of work being done by SIM and many other organizations as well about how you can move that transition. So that same attitude of wanting to learn, wanting to develop, wanting to have that multidisciplinary elements are also actually very powerful and very exciting. I do like that. Surveyor, is that right? Kind of transitioning from something completely hands-on to something really technical. I'm really excited about that. All right. So with that, starting maybe with Martin, Felix, and ending off with Madhu, last words of wisdom to the audience here about AI and their future.
All right, here's my last words of wisdom. The pace of change is driven by 3 fundamental things: the availability of knowledge. You can Google anything, basically. The time it takes for somebody to commoditize or copy what you've created, right? And the pace of technology. Those 3 fundamental things today is driving innovation faster and faster, because it happens quicker and quicker. Somebody brings out something, somebody can copy it really, really quickly. And the pace of technology change lets that happen even faster and faster. So artificial intelligence is definitely here to stay. It's not going to go away. So figure out how you embrace this technology and use it. And just remember, there's 2 fundamental things between automation and artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence can can replace human thinking, right? But automation mimics human behavior. And if you truly want to take advantage of automation, the quicker you can create an automation component that takes those photographs or brain scans, give them to AI to assess them on what they know is a tumor, and give you the data back. That's how you use automation and AI together to do something. So look at the careers that you're trying to do and figure out what the pace of technology change is in there. What do you adopt to be able to do that that's relevant from a certification and an education perspective on top of your degree to give you a niche? And that doesn't mean that you have to do all these certifications and stuff. You can actually go to startups, you can join clubs, you can do whatever, because then it shows practical application of the knowledge that you've learned. And that is what gives you the edge. That's what gives you a 20% better salary than somebody else's exactly the same in the class that you are. Because when I'm an employer and I look at your CV, I go, wow, this person is actually hungry, passionate. I know that they love their job and I can see what they're doing to do it. That's what I see as the advantage for you guys, right?
Nice. Thank you, Martin. Felix.
All right. For me, I think always have that mentality to learn. But while you're doing that, always be patient with yourself. Like what Martin mentioned, technology is evolving very quickly. Sometimes we can't even get it. Like, to be honest, back then, if you all know script things like, JavaScript, ActionScript, stuff like that, lingo, those are things that I learned before, but now they don't exist. So essentially, keep yourself patient, take time to learn, break down the learnings as well, right? You don't really have to take every single certification. Focus on a direct learning path. Build your own path where you want to focus on, and focus on that. That's my last words to you. And there's a lot of free resources available. Google it, search for it, search for free courses, Coursera, wherever. Go for the courses, do the courses online, have that discipline, and get that credential into your CV. All right.
Thanks, Felix. Madhu.
So for my last words, I would say, okay, for both parents and students, now in our daily conversations, we will say, oh, you need information, go and Google it. Now, everybody knows how to Google, right? Including parents, including, your grandparents already. Now, the generative AI will be a norm as well. So if you need to go and find information, go to ChatGPT, go to Bard. I would say expose yourself on all of the various AI technologies out there. If you go on your social media, they will actually come. A lot of people are actually showing different generative AI components you can use. Play around with it, because if none of you have actually used Bard or ChatGPT, you're already behind trends. Make yourself exposed to that first with the new technologies that's coming out, because it will be the norm if not 6 months or 1 year. That's perspective. So don't be like what Martin said. Don't distract from it. Don't push it away. Adopt it into your learning, and you'll be successful in that. And I think lastly is, I think, like what we've all been saying, find something that you're very passionate in and focus into that area and go deep into it. I think, like Martin said, you will not regret, going to work or waking up to work every day if you do something you're passionate in. And that's what we all, I guess, in the IT industry, we're very passionate in our work. We go to work every morning, excited about the new technologies and new things we're doing, be it for the organization or be it for our customers. And I think for the new generation, you want to be in an environment where you can contribute back to the society or to an organization, and doing something, very valuable, back to the community. So I think that's my final closing, I think, for everyone today.
Great. Thank you very much, Madhu. Sincere apologies, everyone in the audience. Lots of great questions really kind of popping out in the background. Sorry you couldn't get to every one of them. That's why I think we have the opportunity at Tea Break as well as at the AsiaPac booth. Please come on over. Please speak to any one of these speakers you like to and get those answers from them. Really want to encourage that. And with that, again, we kind of, especially those of you who are kind of online, my apologies for kind of going over time. But on behalf of our speaker panel, Martin from UiPath, Felix from Google, Madhu from Pacific AsiaPac Technologies, and myself, Andrew from SIM, we thank you for you being with us. And please, a big round of applause for our panels.